What's up, everybody? Laura Sanko here, joined by the famous Dean Thomas in his green room, his literally green room, joining us. What's your green room like at Deep Waters? You have like special M&Ms and stuff?
No, I wish we had a little room with mirrors and
Mm-hmm.
clothes from other hosts from CBS and
Uh-huh.
yeah, the chair. It's nothing fancy.
Sounds
Don't
glamorous.
no, it's nothing fancy. Don't worry. The green room I'm in now is green for one reason. I'm trying to get that money.
Well, you need to get a fake background.
I know, I
This is
know,
green. That doesn't.
I know,
This is the first. This is the first step, Dean. You're
I
supposed to
know.
like do a thing behind it. Yeah.
I know. But I'm bland as well. I let everybody know
Yeah.
I'm what it is. It's me.
You
So the
keep it you
background.
keep it basic. You don't need distraction from the knowledge that's pouring out of your mouth. I
That's right.
like
I don't
that.
want y'all to be distracted. I want to just keep it all about me and my words and my
Exactly.
knowledge. You get it. You know what
That's
it
why
is.
I just have stripes.
I know. Look at you. All you got is stripes behind you.
I can't complain about your background. All right, we are here to talk about the main event of UFC 330, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Garry for the welterweight title. This is a big, big, big fight, Dean. Ian Garry is 17 and 1 overall. He is 10 and 1 in the UFC. Islam is 28 and 1 overall, and he is 17 and 1 in the UFC. And he is tied with Anderson Silva for the longest winning streak in UFC history. The stakes do not get bigger than this. Before, as always, we go to the details. Well, before we do any of that, I got to get better about asking people to like and subscribe and stick around to the end for the fan questions that we're pulling from Instagram. You won't want to miss those. But yes, click like and subscribe and the bells and all that stuff to help me and help Dean.
Please
Okay,
do.
yeah, off the top, Dean. Did you think it would be Ian Machado Garry, or did you think they were going to skip him, go to protests, or
No, I had a good feeling it would be.
he deserves it?
Well, he deserves, and it's not always about who deserves it. It's about who's available, other fights, ways to craft a card. But I felt like not only did he deserve it, but he positioned himself to where it was almost undeniable. Even because sometimes they deserve it and they still can't. They don't give it to him. But he positioned himself into a spot where it was undeniable. He sort of manifested this in a way that other Irishmen have manifested them good spots into the position that they've gotten into. But Ian Garry has certainly deserved it. He is a fascinating individual, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this actually plays out about the second round or so, second or third round.
Oh, I can't bear that lead. Why the second or third round?
Well, the great Max Kellerman once said that the art of boxing or any combat sport is the imposition of will. Now, when you think about Makhachev and Ian Garry, they both have a strong will. So I don't think it's about that because like you can want something really bad enough, but just not be capable of it. This fight is truly about the imposition of skill because they're both going to want it bad enough. It's not a matter of who wants it bad enough. I think this is a matter of who can impose their skill in that first round to determine how the other four rounds are going to look.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I like that. Let's run through some stats before we get into more of the strategy and weeds of this. We've got Ian Garry is 6'3". He's got a 74.5 inch reach. He's 28 years old. And then Islam Makhachev, he is 5'10" with a 70.5 inch reach, and he is 34 years old. So that size difference, I think, is going to be a major talking point for a lot of people. I do think it's an interesting factor in the fight. In terms of some other major stats, we've got Makhachev landing 2.45 significant strikes per 15, or excuse me, per minute. Per 15, that'd be pretty bad. Ian Garry, 4.78, so quite a bit more volume from Ian Garry. Machado Garry, sorry. 58.4% striking accuracy for Makhachev, 54.1% for Machado Garry. Striking defense is 62% for Makhachev, 52.9% for Machado Garry. We've got takedowns averaging 3.1 takedowns per 15 minutes for Makhachev, 0.92 for Ian Garry, Machado Garry. Islam's takedown accuracy is 56.2%, 31.3 for Ian Garry. Not that he's going to be trying to take Islam down. Defense on the takedown is 91.3 for Makhachev, 80% for Ian Garry. He's got quite good takedown defense. And submission attempt average, 0.98 for Makhachev, 0.37 for Ian Garry. So just some stats to keep in mind. Let's start the conversation like this. What are some of the things that you feel like have made Ian Garry so successful? What stands out to you in his game? Not necessarily for this matchup, but just in general. What do you admire about the man?
I remember the first time I walked into Kill Cliff, one of the first times I walked into Kill Cliff, I saw Ian Garry there. Yeah, this was a long time ago.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, this was a while ago. Trust me, this was a long time ago. But he was, I don't even know, he may not have had any fights in the UFC just yet. I think he had just got signed to the UFC. And he was in there, and there were cameras following him. And immediately he stood out for that reason. And I remember asking Greg Jones, who was the wrestling coach at that time, I said, yo, what's up with this dude? Who was this? He was like, oh, that's Ian Garry. Not even Machado Garry. It was Ian Garry. He's from Cage Warriors. And I was like, is he any good? Like, what's he got all this hype? Why is everybody following him around? And he's hitting pads. And Greg was like, no, he's pretty good, man. This kid, he's got it. That's all he said. But he wasn't, trying to hype him up or nothing, but that's all he said. And I remember watching him, so I immediately wanted to pay attention to him. And then I went back and watched some of his fights in Cage Warriors, and he was good offensively, not that great defensively. Then when he got to the UFC, same thing. He was good offensively in the beginning, not that great defensively. I've seen him get rocked a few times. But then all that changed. And what stood out about me was his ability to improve over the years and fight by fight. And then as he's improving, what also stood out was his ability to adapt in fights and to fights.
Yeah.
His ability, like the idea that this guy can go and fight MVP and beat him and then turn around and fight a guy like Carlos Prates and beat him is remarkable. I mean, it's absolutely, and he beats him in different ways. It's absolutely remarkable. So his ability to look at a puzzle and be able to solve it is his strongest asset to me.
Incredibly smart. He is incredibly smart. And I echo your sentiments. When I called his fight with Carlos Prates, it was incredibly impressive watching him handle Prates in a way that no one else has. And it's done in a way that's not like, oh, my hammer is going to be bigger than your hammer. It's always like, my hammer is going to be smarter than your hammer. And he finds a way to use his footwork, his positioning, his distance management, his timing, he's got so many attributes to draw on, but at the end of the day, the thing that wraps them all up into a beautiful package is his fight IQ and his ability to see the game from a broader perspective and make those adjustments in fight and even in round. But he's incredibly, I think sometimes he doesn't really get the props he should get about certain things. Like, he's incredibly accurate. In fact, I think he's got the 5th best striking accuracy in welterweight history. And that's like, sometimes we just say stats and we just say them to say them. But when you think about what that means, that's a pretty devastating weapon to have. If when you fire, you land more than almost everybody else in the history of the division.
That's the name of the game, to be able to fire and land. Yeah. Yes. Well, the part of the reason why he doesn't get the credit is because we've blurred the lines between what he is and what we think about him. Mm-hmm. We've blurred those lines. And a lot of people don't want to like him. Either they don't like him, they don't want to like him, or they don't want to respect him based on who he is, based on who they think he is as a person. So they don't want to give him a lot of credit, and we just do that. We tend to treat people's fighting ability based on what we think about them as a person. Yeah. And they're two totally separate things. And as a fighter, he's a damn good, intelligent, effective fighter. Mm-hmm. He finds ways. And it's almost, you almost look at it as like, you can't look at his other fights and use that to determine how he's going to fight Makhachev.
Which is good, because I will tell you that I was very much on this, before I started doing my studying, I had the height thing stuck in my head because he is by far, and I looked it up quite a ways back, he's by far the biggest guy that Makhachev has faced, height-wise. Makhachev, I think when he fought, oh, I'm going to forget his name now. Someone else had a similar reach, but no one has been as tall with the arm reach. And I kept hanging my hat on like, man, that could really cause Makhachev some problems. That could really cause some problems. And it might. But then I went and I watched Gary's fight with Shavkat. And I was like, ooh, that's not going to work well against Makhachev if he fights the same way. But to your point, every single time he fights, like when he fought Bilal went 0 for 9. Let me look at 0 for 7 on takedowns. I'm not saying Bilal and Islam are the same person or they wrestle at the same level, but it is a data point that's an important one for you to go, oh my gosh, he didn't get taken down a single time against a guy who is wrestle forward.
Yeah. I mean, you got to almost expect him to get taken down. And I think he has to expect that. And that's just, I think maybe he's a bit delusional, but that works for fighters because you just need to be delusional enough for long enough to get a W. And, and that, yeah, it works, right? It's not a sustainable business model, but it can work for a few fights.
Yeah.
But that's all you need. And he has that ability to go out there and say, oh, he's not going to take me down. He might get taken down, but he still believes in his head that that's not going to be enough for him to lose a fight. And like that's an incredible power to have that type of mentality, to go out there thinking that he can't be beat. And even if he gets taken down, not a problem. But you need that if you're going to fight a guy like Islam. I mean, you can't not have that.
Can you make a big enough improvement in wrestling? Because in my opinion, grappling is the hardest place to make major improvements in your game in a relatively short period of time. I'm talking like 2 years or less. It's really hard to make giant, visible, significant strides in that part of your game. And to my point earlier, when he fought Shavkat took him down twice, but he had almost 12 minutes of control time with those 2 takedowns. And that's the part where you kind of go, can you get good enough at getting up in that short a period of time? If anybody can, it'd be Ian Garry, but I don't know.
It's tough to say, and that's why we have to wait and watch, because it's tough to say. Because in my head, I look at it and go, and this has been my biggest problem with, oh, look at you. What is going on here? Oh, tipsy. No, but
I'm not tipsy. I'm having a glass of wine.
In my head, I always give fighters the benefit of the doubt. Like, of course he's going to find a way to get up. Of course he's going to have a better strategy. Of course he's going to have a better tactic. And then they go out and fight, and then they just do what everybody else does and fall apart. And then I go, I don't know why I even gave this guy the benefit of the doubt. And that's why I have a hard time picking fights, because I'm always thinking that one fighter is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And as confident as as much confidence as I have in Ian Garry to be able to figure it out, it could just easily be rinse and repeat for Islam.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, he controlled JDM from pillar to post.
Yeah.
And I remember doing our breakdown for that fight, and we're talking about size and like JDM's boxing. The things you have to talk about, of course, the things that, make sense to talk about on paper, and then you see it unfold and you go, oh, well.
Like in that one, I'm like, of course Craig Jones is going to have him prepared for this stuff. And it wasn't enough, right?
Yeah.
It just, you saw him trying to do it, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So, and I have the same sentiment towards Ian. Of course he's going to find a way to figure out how to neutralize Islam, whether it's just being really active and very squirmy. But I'll say this, Ian Garry has a body type that if he gets taken down, it's going to be hard to get up. Mm-hmm. Like if he gets put on his back, it's going to be hard to get up. He can't allow his hips to get too far underneath him, because if he can keep his legs out, he can make it hard for Islam to capture both legs to get a takedown. But if he gets his hips underneath him and gets sucked in, he won't get back up.
Would
He's
you
just his
agree
body
that
type.
having long legs is great for takedown defense? I mean, if you have good takedown defense, in theory it's good for takedown defense because it is much harder to get the height leverage on someone who has long legs. It's a further, like you have to push them further.
Hmm.
It's a different angle if you have them against the fence. Like it's harder to get them elevated than to then dump them down. But then once you have them on the ground, and it's different if you're talking about jujitsu, but purely like getting up, getting your hips free, getting a knee out, building a base is much harder when you have long legs.
Yeah, that's that's the pros and cons of it. Having the longer legs, like you said, is harder for somebody who's trying to take you down to capture both legs, to get your knees together, to get you off balance because that's what you need. And Islam is very good about his takedowns of off balancing you one way and then taking you down the other way. But when you got longer legs, it's really hard to get them to adjust one way enough to get them to go down the other way. So Ian Garry has to use that to his advantage, especially up against defense, of keeping his legs nice and long and
Yeah.
trying to keep his balance. But once he gets down, if he's flat on his back, if he gets parallel to the floor on his back, to be able to collect his legs and get them back underneath him is going to be very difficult because his legs are too long.
I wouldn't know anything about that long-legged life. What's that like? Do you tell
I
me?
know all about it. I'm telling you, I
I,
know all about it.
what God took from your torso, he gave to mine. And what he
Yeah.
took from my legs, he gave to yours.
Can God give it back?
You just
Can we even it out a little bit?
help it.
Yeah, hopefully one day God played a terrible joke on us.
I'm built like a wiener dog, and Dean's built like, I don't know what you're built like, but you got long legs.
SpongeBob. Dustin Poirier said, I catch my wallet out my back pocket like this.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's so
Yeah,
good.
they said I reached behind myself to get my
That's so
wallet out my
good.
back pocket.
It's true though. I mean, body types really are a fascinating thing to me when it comes to like fight mechanics. I don't know why I kind of like geek out about stuff like that. I think as analysts, we should pay more attention to leg length too, especially when strikers are kick heavy. Like I can think of so many times where like someone's trying to lean back out of the way of a kick that a normal guy that height would you'd be able to miss it, but because that guy's got long legs like Dean Thomas, you're like shit, and they get
I,
cracked.
can, I would love to see you kick. Your little legs would be like, week, 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 week,
Well, I
week, 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 week.
I'm flexible though, so like I could kick pretty high. I could kick pretty high, but only because I have flexible hips, not because I got long legs.
Like when you kick high, does it go up past your waist? Like with the flexibility at full
Deep,
180 degrees, it still comes up to like your stomach.
barely, barely. Yeah, my head kicks are like right now.
Yeah.
Well, anymore they probably are, but yeah, I used to be able to kick all right back in the day. Probably, I mean, not at all anymore. Not at all
I
anymore.
believe you. I
We don't
believe you.
do that. Um, on the flip side, talking about Makhachev and what makes him so special. How close do you think he is to being in the GOAT conversation, if not already? If he gets a win here, I mean,
You know, it would have been easier for him to get into the GOAT conversation had he been kind of independent and just had a different outside life. But because he came up under Habib, he's always been kind of in Habib's shadow, and it's kind of difficult for him to remove himself from that shadow. So it's almost like we don't look at him
I
in the
feel
GOAT
like
conversation because of that.
he's surpassed Habib. All respect to
Well,
Habib.
yeah, I think so too. He has, but we don't think of him as a. But we were like, oh, put a Mount Rushmore. We go, oh, Habib.
Yeah.
We don't think of Islam as that because I think that we still kind of look at him as Habib's little brother, like his protege. But he surpassed him. He's if he can beat Ian Garry and beat like another guy, then you got to start putting
And
him in
have a
that GOAT
couple of
conversation.
title defenses at a new weight class.
Yeah, you have to.
Because how many people? I'd have to look at the list, but there's a lot of double champs who have got that done, but not all of them stuck around to be dominant in both weight classes. Like they were either briefly in one, like Connor, and then they moved up to the other, or vice versa. They were mostly in one, like DC, for instance. He had some title defenses at heavyweight, but my point is like most of his career was, the height of it was light heavyweight, and then he went up to heavyweight and did his thing there. But like there's not a ton of people. Amanda Nunes is one of them who
Yeah.
dominate and dominate again in a new weight class.
Right. And it was easier for her to do that because of just the
Of
strength of
course.
schedule and
Yeah.
the depth of the featherweight division wasn't that much. But for Islam to do that at 155 and at 170 would be incredible because just think about the talent pool in both of those divisions and the strength of schedule. I mean, when you talk about his level of competition compared to Habib's, I mean, it already by far
Yes.
surpasses the level of competition.
Yes.
So if he's defending titles, it'll be just a feather in his cap.
Yeah. This, I really don't want this to come off disrespectful, but I was having this thought today of like, can you imagine a bar? How you talk about like the old guy at the bar, like reliving his life. Can you imagine a bar with like Matt Hamill, Adriano Martins, and like I'm trying to think who else would fit in that crew.
Yeah,
Just these
yeah,
awesome
yeah,
stories about like, yeah, I beat
yeah.
John Jones.
Remember?
Yeah, I beat this
Adriano Martinez like, yo, I knocked him out with that right hook.
his ass out. Like, it's such a
Hey, they exist. They exist. They pop out the woodworks.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, they'll pop out the woodworks and bring up some old stuff that happened, and you like, yo, man, leave that
I
old
for
stuff
sure
alone,
would. Are
man.
you kidding me? I'd put that on my headstone.
Yeah, can you imagine Matt Hamill's headstone? It has to say win over John Jones.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Part of well, obviously the biggest thing that jumps off the page with Makhachev is his grappling, but I try to think. I've broken him down a bunch before, and I'm always trying to articulate what makes his grappling so special. But I came across a stat today that I hadn't really fully wrapped my mind around before. He and we're going to talk about it as well with Jillian because they have a similar stat actually. When we do our co-main event video, he has 8 submissions in the UFC with just 13 attempts. Now, it's weird to think like, so it's a submission accuracy stat, which isn't one that we talk about a lot. But that's a fascinating one to me because it says that they're very efficient in knowing when the submission is there. And they're very accurate in setting things up. And they're not just like spamming wild, submission chains, which can often get you into trouble. I just thought that was a really fascinating thing. Another way of looking at his excellence in grappling that I hadn't thought about before. I mean, he's got such a litany of submission abilities. Obviously the Dars, that's a big one, but he's got wins by Kimura and arm triangle and armbar and rear naked choke. Like his submission skills often get overshadowed by his wrestling, I feel like.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. Like we overlook his submission skills for sure. Today on our show Deep Waters, we looked at his submissions, and
Oh, did
we
you?
actually we ranked his submissions. So I got a good chance to look at all of his submissions and his grappling and the way he operates. And the one thing I can say about him is his precision. His precision, because we got to get out of this idea that technique is measurable. A Darce is a Darce. Passing the guard is passing. It's when you got a guy who really knows what he's doing, it's different. It works, right? And when you got a guy who doesn't know what they're doing, it doesn't work. You see, he tried an armbar, it's tight, and it doesn't look good. You're like, that's a sloppy armbar. Like Islam Makhachev is so precise with his technique. He gets from point A to point B so precisely, and there's no in between. It's A and B. From position to position. When he locks up his Darce, it's A and B with no in between. He's not having to get to a sloppy position and readjust. It's A and B, and then C, and then finish, and that's it. And that just comes from just understanding your body, understanding the positions, and I would say drilling. Some people will say whatever they want. Ecological jiu-jitsu guys might say one thing. I think it comes from drilling, but his precision for his technique, he knows exactly where to put his body, every part of it, where to apply pressure, every part of it, and that's why his submission accuracy is so high. That's why his positional dominance is so high, is because his precision is laser sharp.
I think that's just a lifetime of Sambo as well. Because it's not just that
Yeah.
he's been wrestling from a young age. Like Sambo, has submissions in it as well. So when you grow up and your life consists of training, eating, sleeping, going to school, and that's it, And I know we talked about this before. I think that there's something to the culture too and the disciplined lifestyle of all of the athletes that come from Dagestan or other, really deeply religious communities that value, that don't value drinking and that don't value partying and just going to the beach and hanging out. There is definitely something to that laser focused lifestyle that breeds a lifetime of reps, and you can see it.
Yeah, and not only that, it's also the level of intensity that they have with the way they train, and this is something that I've always said. We've sort of come to this false conclusion that wrestling is the best base for MMA, and we've come to that because wrestlers tend to exceed, but it's not the actual skill of wrestling that makes them successful. It's their intensity and the way they fight for things, which is different from jiu-jitsu. Like when you learn jiu-jitsu, it's all about respect and what's supposed to be all about respect and honor, and it's a slow self-defense type art in which you learn, and then you have to decipher your level of intensity. But when the first day you step on a wrestling mat, it's all about winning positions and winning battles. Now, what makes the Dagestani guys so good at what they're doing is that they're doing that with a different skill set. They're trying to win battles with a different skill set, which incorporates striking and submissions. So they're taking the intensity that we have of wrestling, but doing it with striking and submissions. And that's why they've always had an upper hand on everybody else, because they're taking the best skill set and utilizing the intensity of wrestling.
Yeah. What do you think about the kicks between these two? Because I think the kicks are going to be an interesting factor in a variety of different ways. You've got Ian Machado Garry, who's obviously going to try to keep this fight at a distance, use his movement, use his amazing footwork, use his jab, and he's got fantastic kicks, like his little rear leg oblique kick that he does. He's got a great calf kick. He's got great front kicks. But on the flip side, I also wonder if the kicks of Makhachev are going to be a factor, because when you watch the way his stance was against Bilal, very, very front leg heavy, lead leg heavy, anticipating, getting underhooks and anticipating the possibility of wrestling. But Bilal didn't really target his lead leg too much. I can just see I can see Makhachev doing that. What do you think?
Well, I think Makhachev is a better striker than Bilal, a more disciplined and more regimented striker than Bilal. But when you talk about kicks, you can't just talk about the kicks. You have to talk about leg speed in general, which I think Ian Garry is going to have a huge advantage of. Just leg speed in general, whether it's moving his feet around the cage and then throwing kicks. Like his leg speed is going to be fast. And I think that could be the difference. When I first said the imposition of skill, I think that's the biggest factor that Ian Garry is going to have is leg speed, whether it's that front kick up the middle, the oblique kick, or just moving his feet on the outside to create the angles and the range that he needs in order to throw them kicks, or to get Makhachev to run into something. But his leg speed is going to be very critical in his success in this fight.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he can? You think he can get up?
Get up?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he can get up.
I don't think so.
I don't. No, I don't. I think if he gets up once or twice, that'll be a pretty good victory for him.
Yeah.
But if he gets up once or twice, he gets taken back down. I don't see him getting up a third, fourth. Some guys what was the fight recently where a guy broke the record? He had like 20 takedowns or something like that. It's partially because the other guy was getting up,
Yeah.
but I don't see Ian Garry being able to get up like that to get mat returned over and over and over.
So what do you think this fight ends up looking like? And do you think, well, my last question about details, do you think Ian's size is going to cause Islam any problems?
And that's hard to say because we haven't seen Islam fight anybody built like that. Mm-hmm. What we did see was Islam fight shorter guys that gave him problems, which is why I always thought Ilya would give him problems. So we know that he likes to shoot or get in, and he uses a lot of trips to get guys down, which if he's going to get Ian down, he's going to have to be able to chain wrestle and use trips. He's got a lot of legs to work with in that situation. So it might work to his advantage. But him being able to get back up if he gets taken down, I don't see that happening. I, like I said, I want to give Ian Garry the benefit of the doubt here and say that he can keep this really interesting and competitive. But he's going to need something big somewhere in this fight. He needs something like Islam doesn't need something big.
Yeah.
He can
And cook him.
he can cook him. But Ian to win this fight needs something big. He's not going to be able to. I don't know, like if that's the strategy to like play on the outside and pot shot him and get away with that. Like I can't see that happening. Like he's got to hurt him and finish him to win.
So who's your pick?
I'm going to pick Makhachev.
Okay.
I think he is able to get in. I think the first round can be interesting. You know, Ian Garry's going to have a pretty good first round. But I still think that he gets tangled up. Like eventually he gets tangled up, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse because you know that grappling pressure. When you train to not have it on you, and then it happens anyway, it's very discouraging. And we saw that with JDM. Like every round when JDM was walking back to his corner, his facial expression got worse and worse. Like, we knew this was a possibility, but we didn't want it, and here it is.
Yeah.
This is the reality of my situation.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like your take. We'll see. We will see what happens. It's a crazy game. We never know, of course. But before we wrap up this video, let's go to some fan questions. I have them on my phone, so let me pull them up. From RJ Clifford MMA. We know him. In what aspect of MMA does Garry have the biggest advantage other than his haircut?
Old RJ. I don't know why RJ called or emailed with this question. Do you want to go first on this? You can go first on this. What do you think?
I think I just always marvel at Ian Machado Garry's understanding of range and positioning and footwork and all, because I say one and then my brain goes, yeah, but it's actually because of his footwork. And so, well, yeah, that's actually the positioning is because of, so it's all of those three things are kind of one thing in general, but he rarely is putting himself in a spot where he doesn't want to be or where he shouldn't be. And I think that he's one of the best, if not the best in the division at that.
Well, that was essentially my answer because we just talked about that, and that was foot speed and just that positioning, like you said. And a lot of people don't understand how that really works, and the way I try to explain it to them, to give them an analogy that works for them, is that if I was holding pads for you, and instead of me just holding them where you can hit them, how would you like it if I were moving them around while you were trying to punch them? And that's what Ian Garry's really good at. Is he's really good at moving around without running, but moving around just in small pockets where you can't really get a good read on him, and then he attacks you from there. He keeps turning you and he attacks you from there. So I think that's his biggest advantage is his foot speed and positioning.
Yep.
And if he can really have early success with that, he can get Makhachev to run into something and make him hesitant later, or if not hesitant later, hurt him enough to then really start to peel the layers off and wear him out.
Shark Sports Cards says, how much does the size factor, or do you think Islam will be fine? We kind of just went over that, but it's hard to say. I think it'll be a factor.
You think it will be?
I do. I'm not saying it'll be the factor that like changes the whole the whole complexion of the fight, but I think we will see early on Islam having a little bit of like, oh, I got to figure out how to get in on this guy. Like this is different. Like I'm eating a lot of these oblique kicks. I love the oblique kicks. They're so safe. You're never going to get taken down from them. You don't have to change your position to throw them because it doesn't require you to take a step like a big kickboxing or Muay Thai kick does. And they force the opponent when thrown properly, it's like a forced reset. You know, you might be in the middle of moving forward and you get kicked like that, and it doesn't even look like no one's going to get knocked out from that, of course, but just that slight halt to your momentum often forces people to stop, okay, and then readjust, get their positioning right, and then go again. It's such a small but really effective tool, and I think stuff like that, and given the length of Ian Machado Garry's legs and just his height, is going to be tricky, but I think ultimately it'll be something that Islam figures out. I just think in the beginning it might be interesting.
Yeah, I look at it in a different way because we never really clarify what you mean by size. And length is size, but we don't never think of the length as the size advantage. We typically think of size as like girth.
Frame?
Yeah.
Did you have to use that word?
I don't know.
Frame, Dean, frame.
Well, I was thinking about like, massiveness, like
I've trained
bulk.
I've trained my brain not to use certain words on television, and that's one of them. That's in the no-no list.
It's just the word that came.
No, it's the perfect word. It's just
Yeah.
on my no-no list. You can,
Yeah. So, but that's what like bulky, and
yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a factor at all. I think because Islam is so precise with this technique, if he can get his hands locked, it won't be a factor at all. Like I don't see him being like getting in on a shot, his hands are locked, and then Ian Garry is like that much bigger and stronger and just goes and pries him off. I don't see that being a factor at all. I think that if he can get in on him, get his hands locked, if he can get his hips, I think he takes him down easily. If he gets to his hips, he takes him down easily. But that's a different type of size than the length of him. So getting to that point can be a factor. But then again, that's also but that's also incorporated with Ian's speed too, because he's not going to stand still.
And his weapon.
Like him moving, and he's going to be farther away than Islam's going to imagine. So it's kind of a tricky question to answer, the size being a factor.
It is. Max XX18. What is a low-key underrated attribute you guys see in Ian? Underrated.
I don't know.
Well, I think his takedown defense is underrated. Off the fence, I don't love his takedown defense as much in the open mat wrestling. When you wrestle his legs in the open mat, like Shavkat did, that's a little, at least in that fight, again, we talked about he's amazing at making adjustments. Maybe it'll be completely different. But in that fight, once Shavkat figured out that he could wrestle his legs in the open mat, it would look different. But off the fence, he's actually very, very good at defending.
I don't know if there's anything that I think is underrated. I think I've kind of got to put my finger. Like I've praised a lot of his good skill sets, and the only thing that I think he doesn't have or hasn't shown a lot of is just like sheer punching power. So the fact that he hasn't shown that, to me, I don't know if he has it. So it's hard for me to say like that's an underrated aspect, because I'm not sure that he has like sheer punching power. So in terms of like underratedness, like I don't think there's anything for me that's underrated. Like I'm very aware of how good he is in certain of every area, really.
Yeah. Samu Manuka, which is a brand of honey. Everyone expects the takedowns from Islam, but I think he's going to chop Ian's wide stance legs out. I think that's a pretty good take. What do you think?
I don't love that, and I don't think it's going to work for a long time.
You don't think he'll try to attack the legs?
He will.
Ian moves too much?
Yeah, I don't love the idea of that being his A game to his success. Just because, if he comes out and it starts having success with that, Ian's going to make an adjustment and capitalize, because that's kind of what he wants, right? He's going to want more opportunities to strike. So if Islam starts having some good success with that, like he kicks his leg and goes, "Oh man, this is working," and he starts trying to do it more, and Ian makes the adjustment and goes, "Perfect. Now I'm going to counter you."
Yeah.
So like I don't love the idea of that being Like that can be means to a different end.
But not plan
So
A.
maybe, but not plan A.
Yeah.
No.
All right, that's it. That is it from the fans. Questions.
Well, fans, keep them coming. It's my favorite part of the day
Oh, I
to
shouldn't
answer
say that's it.
questions.
I had hundreds. That's the problem.
Oh,
Hundreds. This is me
oh,
just going, this one, this one, this one, this one. Just all of
okay,
them.
all right.
If we ever answered all of them, we'd be here for hours.
Well, let's not do that.
But I
I
tried
ain't
to
trying
I
to do
tried to
that.
pick the ones that encapsulated the most frequently asked questions. So if there's
Yeah.
one that comes up a lot, then I'll pull it in there. But we appreciate you guys sending in your questions as always. We appreciate Dean's time as always. And I do believe this is going to be an absolutely fantastic fight. UFC 330 going down, coming up soon from Philadelphia. We will see you there.